Hey everyone, it's David Priemer here, and what I have for you today is a really super simple but super impactful tip that you can use in almost every kind of sales interaction to increase your effectiveness. And there's really just two simple parts to this tactic. Number one, writing stuff down. Number two, reading back what you wrote down to your customer. If you want to stop watching the video now, that's it, we're good. No, we'll keep going. This is actually a really great tactic. Now, a lot of research in the area of selling, one of the things we talk a lot about in sales, and certainly on this channel, is that everything is sales. Even if you don't consider yourself in sales, you are in sales. And there are a group of people in our society that we deal with oftentimes almost every day that are in sales that don't necessarily consider themselves, or we don't consider them to be in sales, which are servers, wait staff at restaurants. And there's been all sorts of research done on how servers serve their clients, serve their customers at the table, and the impact that can have on the trust in the form of tips at the end of the meal. So there's a ton of great stuff. I'm actually going to link a photo here of one of my favorite sales books. It's called Yes, 50 Scientifically Proven Ways to Be Persuasive, where they go through a lot of these experiments they've done with waitstaff. And one of the tactics, one of the things that they have found is that waiters who repeat their customers' orders back to them verbatim, using the exact same words that their customers use, see a 70% increase in the tips that they get. Now, if you are in the service industry, then that could just be a helpful tip for you right there. But even if you are in kind of the mainstream sales industry where you're doing, messaging and discovery and kind of, hardcore sales cycles with your customer, this can be a tremendously impactful tip. So when you are doing your discovery, when you're talking to your customer, make sure, number one, that you have the means to write things down. And again, we've talked a lot about this on this channel, and I'll link to some of my content here as well on the value of writing things down and the impact that can have on your customer relationships. But it's a tremendous tactic. Just write stuff down. And when you are recapping, when you're asking questions, when you're confirming understanding with your customer, make sure that when you respond, you are using the exact same words that your customer used when they told you those words in the first place. It has a tremendous impact. Now, the science behind it, we love to talk about our science here. The science behind it is a concept called mirroring. And just this idea that when we see people who mirror our mannerisms, and it could be the words that we use, the way we touch our face, the way we speak. Do you ever find that, for example, whenever you're speaking to someone who is, let's say, a much faster talker than you, or speaks in maybe a different accent or a different tone, you end up taking on that tone? And maybe it's just subconscious, but this idea of when we see people mirror us, we subconsciously develop an affinity towards them. And that's where, in this server example, that increased tipping came from. So a very simple tactic whenever you are working with your customers, whether it's messaging or discovery, objection handling, whatever it is, in any stage of the sales cycle, just do two simple things. Write what they say down and say what you wrote back to them. You'll be amazed at the impact it will have on your ability to build that trust and affinity with your customer. That's my tip for today. We'll see you next time.